Hey everybody, it's Katie here, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you my new technique for coloring eyes. I do have an older video for eye coloring, which I still think it's really interesting if you want to check out, but I have recently changed my eye style and I wanted to share with you guys how I am doing it. Okay, so I have my little color palette right here and I'm going to explain to you guys exactly how I use each of these colors. So the first thing I have is the eye already drawn here. I do these little shapes using my line art, and this one here, these two are highlights, and I'm going to explain how I'm going to paint over these shapes. You don't have to draw them exactly like this every single time, it's just how I chose to do it for this specific drawing, but you can change the highlights, you can make them rounder, you can do whatever you want, just experiment how you feel it's best for you. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the base color, which is this little green here, greenish blue, I don't know. I'm going to create a new layer and I'm going to paint it using the paint bucket. I'm going to paint over everything. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this really bright blue here and I'm going to paint over this lower area of the eye right here. It doesn't have to look perfect, so don't worry about it. Now I'm going to take this even lighter blue and I'm going to use it to paint on the center of this area. My next step is creating a new layer, also clipping it to the original base color layer, and I'm going to take a really dark blue, such as one of these ones is fine, and I'm going to use airbrush and paint on the upper half of the eye. This will make the transition between the line art and the color of the eye look a little bit more natural. Now I'm going to use the exact same color to add the pupil, right here on the center of the eye. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this blue here and I'm going to add some little highlight dots around the eye to make it look really shiny. It does not have to look the same between both of the eyes. And I'm also going to take this light color or even white and I'm going to add highlights to this part. Please don't forget to create new layers for every step that I'm mentioning here. It's really important to have them in separate layers in case you want to change any colors. Now I'm going to take the base color, which is this one, and I'm going to color over this middle part here. The next step is an optional one, but I do like to use this technique. I'm going to take this pinkish color. You can use whatever color you like. I usually go for very colorful neon tones, and I'm going to add this little highlight opposite to where the white will be, and I'm going to lower the opacity of this layer to around 25. Now we're finally going to add the highlights. I'm going to use the paint bucket because it's really going to make my life easier to do that, but you can do it however you like. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add shadows to the eye. So you can put the layer on multiply mode, and I'm going to use the same color I used to add shadows to her white part of her eye, and I'm going to complete the shadows just like this. Now the last part is I'm going to create a new layer and I'm going to put it on add mode. Depending on what software you're using, you can use either add mode or luminosity mode. And now I'm going to take airbrush and I'm going to use the base color and I'm going to add some highlights to the lower part of her eye. Now to make everything more interesting, I'm going to go to the layer where I drew all these shapes on her eye, and I'm going to pick a dark blue color and I'm going to color over them. This way the shapes won't look as rough and the eye is going to look a lot more natural. Now I'm also going to go to the layer where I drew the line art for this part of the eye, and I am going to use airbrush to color them red on the edges like this. When her skin is colored, this will help it look a lot more natural and beautiful. When you're finished with her skin color, you can also take the color of her skin and use this with the airbrush to soften the edges of her eyes a little bit. This is what's going to look like in the end. Beautiful, right? You can experiment with lots of different tones, and I think there's no really specific colors that you absolutely have to use. I think it's more about experimenting. I personally really like to use neon tones for most of my highlighting steps, but you can do however you want. I'm just showing you guys how I do these steps, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it was useful, and thank you very much for staying until the end of this video. Bye!